Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Kindergarten Roundup presentation. This is very weird for me. I am Joanne Karatov, and I am the lower school principal, and I have never hosted a webinar before, so bear with me, and I hope that at some point I can see where all of your questions are, and I'd like to go through what our normal presentation would be if we were sitting in the pack together at St. Croix Prep, and then the end, I'll be available to answer some questions, and don't be afraid to put questions in the chat because your question might be the same question that somebody else has. So I will answer as many questions as I can. Typically, we have about 20 minutes together, 25 minutes. But today I figured because we're doing it by Zoom and I'm just basically talking to myself right now, I will open up the Zoom afterward and leave it and answer as many questions as I can. And then just always know that everybody has received a folder, hopefully in the mail by now. It should look like this. Ms. Melhorn mailed them out the other day, and my business card is in there. So you have my phone number and my email address if you have any additional questions. So welcome, believe it or not, your kindergartners who are coming into St. Croix Prep next year are going to graduate as the class of 2034. And that seems so far away and it's gonna go by so quickly. All right, now I gotta figure out how to do this thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some background into St. Croix Preparatory Academy, just at St. Croix Prep as a whole. Then I'm going to give you some background about what it looks like in the lower school, and then what the expectations are for the kindergartners who are coming in and what we do to support you and your kindergarten students. So St. Croix Preparatory Academy is a charter school. I don't know if any of you have attended any of Mr. Gutierrez's informational meetings that he hosts. He hosts them every month or so. If you haven't, I think it's really important for you to look on our website and find out when his next meeting is, because he goes through way more in depth the background of how St. Croix Prep was founded. We are a charter school, but we are also a public school in the state of Minnesota. So we have to follow all of the same laws as Stillwater Public Schools, White Bear Lake Public Schools, all the other public schools. We are our own school district, and we are a public school. We focus on classical education. And throughout this, you're going to see how I apply all of the conversations that I have toward what this means. In classical education, a lot of people say, yeah, I think I know what it means, but they're not really sure that they know what it means. And everybody has their own vision of what they think it means. We are a loving, fun school. Our kids wear uniforms, but that doesn't mean that they still don't have a rigorous and fun day when they're at St. Croix Prep. But with that being said, we also focus on academics, character, and leadership. So classical education is about a trivium where back in the day, elementary schools were called grammar schools. We call our school the lower school. But a grammar school means only that it is the foundation of the learning. And that's exactly what it is. You can see on this chart that's listed here on the screen, it shows that the grammar stage at St. Croix Prep is K kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. The students will be learning all about knowledge, and they will gain the foundation that they need, and it'll be a cyclical foundation. So what I mean by that is they might learn the same thing in first grade that they will learn in fourth grade, that they will learn in fifth or sixth grade. But every time they learn about that particular subject, they dive deeper and deeper, and they pull from their previous year of learning it so that they can have those really thoughtful conversations. That happens at the logic stage and then at the rhetoric stage. So it's where you can see at the bottom, the knowledge and the comprehension is the foundation. When they actually apply it and analyze it, that is what they'll do in the middle school at St. Croix Prep. And then when they synthesize and evaluate that information and they take it further, that's the rhetoric stage at the upper school or the high school. Classical in St. Croix Prep. I've already said these three words before, and if you didn't catch them, you're going to hear them repeatedly throughout this presentation. Our mission is focused on academics, character, and leadership. So the academic portion is that St. Croix Prep is based on this classical model, this foundational model of education. It focuses on providing students with a lifelong educational tool to learn and think for themselves. We also focus on character. The lower school really focuses on who is the best that this student can be and looking at themselves deep. So we at St. Croix Prep, the values of citizenship, courage, honesty, integrity, perseverance, respect, responsibility, compassion, and self-control and service will be identified, modeled, and clearly conveyed. These traits are emphasized on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and on a daily basis in the lower school. Leadership is one of those things also that we do at St. Croix Preparatory Academy. We're always looking to our students to persevere and show leadership. And as they get older, there are more leadership opportunities for them at St. Croix Prep. You can see at the bottom here, it has our logo that says Prep for Life. That is our motto. And we prep students not only for life, but there's two ways to look at that. We prep them to be functioning adults in the world, but we're also prepping them with the academic foundation that they need to be able to do whatever they want to do. So now let's look at the classical education in the lower school. We, as a classical school, E.D. Hirsch is the foundation of cultural literacy, and he has created a curriculum called the Core Knowledge Sequence. The Core Knowledge Sequence, you can see in the bottom corner of this slide, it shows what your kindergartner needs to know, what your first grader needs to know, what your second grader needs to know. These are books that you used to be able to find. They're a little harder to find, but the Core Knowledge Sequence goes through, and like I said, it's cyclical, and it will go through and say what each grade level needs to know, not only in reading and math and social studies and science, but also in the liberal arts, the music, and it ties it all in together so that one thing builds on another and it just continually grows. We also teach in a more traditional fashion where the student is the teacher who gives the directions and gives the instruction, and the students repeat. There's a lot of chanting and a lot of repeating and singing that happens in the lower school. We also look at an older way of teaching. We don't do new math at St. Croix Prep. We teach math in a very logical, sequential, but also cyclical manner. We teach phonics, and the program that we use is based on Orton Gillingham, which is a dyslexia focused phonics-based reading program. We call it RIGS at our school. That's the actual curriculum name that we use. These are pictures of some very wonderful people that you will get to know very well next year. In the top picture up here are three kindergarten teachers. Miss Osberg-House is right here, Miss Ryder is right here, and Miss Celebrity is right here. And each classroom has its own fun character. Miss O or Miss Osberg-House has the brainy birds, Miss Ryder has the busy bees, and Miss Celebrity has the brilliant bears. We have educational assistants in every classroom. Kindergarten actually gets 1.5, meaning that there are 2 of them in there. One of them is in there full-time and one of them is in there part-time. The full-time EA in the Brainy Birds in Miss Osberg-House's classroom is Miss Jansen. The full-time EA in Mrs. Ryder's classroom in the Busy Bee classroom is Miss Abrams. And the full-time EA in the Brilliant Bears classroom and Miss Celebrity's classroom is Miss Breckler. So now to go through and to talk a little bit about what the expectation is of a kindergartner coming in. This is going to just be very informational for you, and it's going to be a time for you to reflect on who your child is, because nobody knows your child better than you. We look at children from an educational perspective. You look at your child from a parental perspective, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. So we are looking for a well-balanced child. We are looking for somebody, just so you know, and this is where the first time that I'm actually allowed to tell you this, kindergartners need to be the age of 5 before September 1st. From September 1st on, they cannot have their birthday after that. So if you got accepted, we are not allowed to ask for birthdays prior to the application process. So if your child was born anytime after September 1st, we will need to put your child into the lottery for the next kindergarten class. So I am talking now about all students who were born August 31st or prior to that. That is Minnesota state statute, and we follow that. because we are such an academic and rigorous program. And through just our experience, we have seen that the students need to have some maturity, and so we follow the state statute for that. So we're going to look at the social, cognitive, emotional, and physical attributes of what an incoming kindergartner should have. Social readiness. So this is just a fun little slide that shows you some of the things that we hope that the incoming kindergartners can do when they're working with their friends or by themselves. So respecting their personal space, they keep their hands and their feet to themselves. We hope that they can follow the rules. And these are questions that you could even ask of the preschool teacher. Is my child like this in school? Are they willing to cooperate? Do they attempt to solve simple problems independently? Do they take turns? Do they share their materials and their toys and their crayons? And do they work well independently? So we're looking for those that can socialize well together, but also those that can work independently well together. Their emotional readiness. Can they demonstrate self-control? Are they able to wait for help or attention? Do they easily separate from you? This is really a big one, and we do everything we can to help support you in that too, because it's so loving for parents to walk them in every day, but it's so hard for little people to separate from their parents. Is your incoming kindergartner willing to try new things? Can they follow multi-step directions? Can you tell them to do 2 or 3 things and they remember all of those 2 or 3 things? And are they self-confident? Do they feel good about their education? Do they like to read? Do they like to pretend like they're writing on paper? Their cognitive readiness. We will teach them how to do these things, but we are also looking for them to see if they can print their first name. Some of their last names are 15 letters long, so we're looking for their first names. Can they identify words that rhyme with each other? Do they know the names of their letters and their numbers? With phonics, we will teach them the sound, but we are looking for them to know the names of their letters and their numbers. Can they count to 10 or higher? And can they name their basic shapes and their basic colors? And then their physical readiness. Can they independently take care of their personal needs? Are they potty trained, and not talking about being in pull-ups? Can they dress themselves? Believe it or not, our students go out to recess when it's -10 degrees or warmer. So they need to know how to zip up a jacket, put on a glove, put on a hat, tie a shoe. And that's the next one. Can they tie their shoes? Can they cut, glue, color, and draw? This looks really weird, and every time I say this, usually in the parents laugh. But a duck quack grip means that they hold their pencil lightly and they have their thumb on one side and 2 fingers on the top of this. And actually that is a really important thing. Or do they write really hard? We're looking for those that are starting to learn how to write, holding their pencils correctly. And do they start their letters from the top of the page, or do they start their letters from the bottom of the page? With Riggs and with how we teach letters, all of our letters start at the top of the page. So if that is something that you're seeing that your child's doing, I'm going to go through what's in your folder, and we can, and there's some ideas and things that you can do to help support your child. There's still a lot of time between now and August. Can your students snap, button, and zip their clothes? And this is a really big, important one. Can they sit for 10-minute intervals not being on an iPad or iPhone? Can they sit and play independently, or read and pretend to read a book independently? Can they do things independently for 10 minutes? Because students are going to be asked to do things for 10 minutes where they may have to work independently. And I did put on this slide a star regarding reading, because reading is the foundation of all of the academics that we do at St. Croix Prep. So I wanted to go through some of the things that we talk about when it comes to reading, and what are some things you could start doing with your children now regarding reading, even if they don't know how to read yet. This is a slide that we found from another elementary literacy team. 1,000 hours of lap time means that students are going to be ready to learn. That it takes 1,000 hours of lap time for young children to have the readiness skills in place to learn to read. If you think about your child sitting on your lap and you reading a book to your child, they are learning, whether you realize it or not, which direction a page gets turned, which way to read the words on the paper. So if you begin at birth, and if you did begin, they're going to have some of those developmental skills. This slide shows if you wait until they're 5 years old, it will take 3 hours a day of lap time to catch your children up to peers who may be already ready to read. So it's great. You can sing with them, you can rhyme with them, you can chant with them. They get to know a lot of those cardboard books. They get to know the rhythm and the pattern in those books, and that's how they learn how to rhyme, and it's literacy skills for them. We encourage all families to do this for at least 20 minutes a day as they get older, especially. So 10 minutes is the minimum, but how can you get more minutes in? It's so simple that if you are reading street signs to them when they're in the car, if you read the cereal box that they might have, keep books by their bed. There are so many different ways, reading menus or reading books in the doctor's office, books on tape, anything you can do to read. These are just some ideas that we put together to let you think about ways that reading can be incorporated just into your regular everyday life. So this is a really telling slide, and this is something that we firmly believe in. We would rather see a book in a student's hand than an iPad in somebody's hand, in a student's hand. Students will learn all about technology, and boy, did we learn that this year, that they learn technology faster than we could have imagined. We've never been a school that focuses on technology, and then to be in distance learning for the last year has really taught us a lot as well. But we want students reading. It's really, you can see if you look at student C on the right side of your screen, they read only 1 minute per day. They're only getting 8,000 words per year. If they're reading 5 minutes a day, they're getting 282,000 words a year. I mean, that's just increasing it by 4 minutes per day. Look at how many more words that they get. But if they read for 20 minutes per day, they will have 1.8 million words per year. And they usually end up scoring in the 90th percentile on standardized tests. So want to be a better reader? I mean, it's so easy that read. Our scores at St. Croix Prep are usually pretty high, and that's because we really encourage our students, and we make it part of the homework assignment, even in kindergarten, that students read on a daily basis, whether they're reading with their parents or they're reading independently. So now all this information I've just given to you, is my child ready? So you have to put these pieces together. You can look at your preschool recommendation, and are they giving you an honest assessment? If they call you all the time because there might be some behaviors, then this is really truly the time to sit down and have that conversation with them. Do you really think that socially, emotionally, my child is mature enough? Is your child interested in the academics yet? What you know your child better than anybody, and you will be looking at this through a parent lens. So some other additional things to keep in mind. At St. Croix Prep, like I said, there is a teacher in the classroom, and there is 1.5 education assistants in there, one full-time. So there's 2 adults in there at all times, and then there's a half-time EA that's in there during reading and math and lunchtime. So keeping that in mind, with those 3 adults, there will also be 30 students in the classroom. All students at St. Croix Prep, or all classrooms at St. Croix Prep in the lower school, have 30 students. In 1st through 4th grade, there's 1 education assistant in the classroom. There's not that part-time one. So does your student get along? Is 30 students too many? Have they been in a preschool that's only had 1 or 2 students, or an independent preschool? How many times are they around other children? Because 30 means that we have to be really rigorous and, in a way, pretty strict, because there's so much academics that have to happen with so many little people in that one classroom. There's also various ages of developmental stages, and all children are different. Some might have just turned 5 that are totally ready. Some might be almost 6 and be ready. Do they have a summer birthday? Did they attend full-time daycare, or did they do part-time? And are they independent? These are all questions that you can ask yourself to decide if they're ready. We will have honest conversations with you. We will work with you. We will do our very best to support you and your child in any way that we possibly can. This is also where I sometimes scare parents, but I'm not going to try to do that. But I do want you to know that it's also okay for students to repeat kindergarten. At St. Croix Prep, we will not move your child ahead if your child's not ready for the next grade. We work really hard about making sure that our students do not fall through the cracks. We know them, we meet about them on a regular basis, and we will put every intervention in place, including retaining them for an additional year if that's necessary. If they developmentally, just either socially, emotionally, or academically weren't ready, we will do our very best to work with you and keep you posted as the year goes on. We look at it from the school expertise lens because we know what the expectations are in first grade and second grade and third grade and fourth grade. So we will look to see if they're academically or behaviorally ready, and we will communicate with you, and we will always be honest with you. We need your support at home. Like I said, there's a lot of homework, there's a lot of things that happen, and we need your support. So we want to make sure that we have that open communication with you at all times. So in thinking about that, about 5 years ago, we started doing, maybe it was 6, we started doing summer assessments. If you live in Stillwater Public Schools boundaries, you may have already done a pre-K assessment through Stillwater Public Schools. They are a completely separate school district than we are, and they do not share that information with us. So we don't know anything about your child except for the paperwork that you may have or will be turning in very shortly. And college readiness begins with kindergarten readiness. So we are going to, on August 10th and 11th, block off the day with all of our kindergarten teachers. You'll get something probably in June or July from Miss Melhorn, and we'll schedule a half-hour time slot to go through some of the stuff that we've just reviewed with you regarding alphabet, numbers, colors, shapes, just looking at, is your child academically ready for kindergarten? Can they have a conversation? Can they separate you? It's looking at a whole bunch of different elements. So we'll spend a half an hour with your child, and we're going to base all of the assessments that we do on kindergarten readiness skills, the social, emotional, the physical, and the cognitive readiness, the stuff that I've already talked about. That's one way that we assess students academically, socially, emotionally. But another way that we do it as well is through kindergarten camp. Now, last year we had a really unique kindergarten camp because we were still in a COVID situation, and we're hoping that since we're back full time, we're going to be able to have a regular kindergarten camp this year. We strongly recommend that all kindergartners attend kindergarten camp. It is 4 days, half days from 9:30 to 12 noon, and it's August 16th through 19th. So it's not the week before school starts, it's 2 weeks before school starts. We tentatively group students based on their academics, and we put them in the 3 different classrooms. We put them on the I'm sorry, my doorbell just rang. We put them on the 3 different we put them in the 3 different classrooms for kindergarten camp. And we hope that that we've made a good balance of the academics and the social. But sometimes students might just not get along with each other, or there might be heavy academic needs or heavy behavior needs. So we may still switch out some of the students from their classroom. But kindergarten camp is where they get tours of the school. And especially since we aren't there tonight and they're not getting to see the building physically right now, we take them on tours. They learn how to get their lunch. They see where the gym is. They get a fun activity with the gym and the art and the music teacher. And it's just a really fun way for them to experience St. Croix Prep when there's no other students in the building. So they don't have to worry about seeing any of the older kids or worrying about where the bathrooms are or anything like that, because it's just them in the building. And it's our way of helping them get acclimated to the school before school actually starts. It is $100. And I sent out the email last week. If you didn't get that, please let me know, because I will resend it again, and I will continually resend that same email with where you can either do the paper copy that was in your folder, or you can submit the form online. Then after kindergarten camp is over on August 20th, After doing the assessments, after doing kindergarten camp, the teachers meet again, and you will get your final classroom placement for the first day of school. We will also on that day have conversations on August 20th to let you know if we do have any major concerns about the academic or the social emotional parts to your child. So some dates to remember: February 22nd, which is this coming Monday. You've had the paperwork for about a month now, and we always try to do this meeting prior. And so if you have not turned in your registration paperwork, please get that paperwork into Ms. Melhorn, into the lower school office by Monday. Believe it or not, we're already starting to work on next year, even though we're just only a little half over this year. July 14th is when, if you know that your student already has a 504 plan, and if you don't know what that is and your child doesn't have one. IEPs or individual education plans are through special education. If they have a speech IEP or have a developmental delay IEP in their early childhood programs, we need any of those forms to the lower school by July 14th. This will also help us figure out what kind of staffing we may need for kindergarten camp. If your child needs a one-on-one, we need to make sure that we have those paraprofessionals available and that the teachers are available for them. We like to also hold our transition IEP meetings earlier rather than later so that we can start the year off on the right foot with you and your child and get to know you a little bit better before their first day of school. Like I said, August 10th and 11th are those kindergarten assessments. They're all day. August 13th is kindergarten camp registration and the payment deadline. It says that the deadline is actually August 13th, but I didn't change that slide. The first day of kindergarten camp is the 16th, and we're doing things a little bit differently since we don't allow visitors. You don't have to write a check if you do the credit card. We will put through the credit cards, or you can actually physically bring in a check on the first day of kindergarten camp. August 20th will be those parent meetings regarding the evaluations. If necessary, you will be notified by one of the teachers if that's the case. The final class assignment with which classroom your student will be in will also be on August 20th, usually in the afternoon. And then Monday, August 30th is the first day of school. So the mission of St. Croix Preparatory Academy is that St. Croix Preparatory Academy will develop each student's academic potential, personal character, and leadership qualities through an academically rigorous and content-rich educational program grounded in the classical tradition. So as I said, it's kind of come full circle. Academics, character, and leadership are our focus as we support and love your students through school. So that is the end of my presentation. Normally I'm interactive and people ask questions throughout, but this is my very first time doing it as a Zoom. And I don't know how to get, there we go. So I do see that there are 7 people in the chat. So I'm going to just try to go through and answer any questions that are here. So when will registration for bus and before school care become available for the 2021 school year? That's a great question. So in the folder that you received, there is, actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, so that way you can kind of see the papers. This is a paper that does kindergarten camp. If you'd like to do the paper copy, that is great. There is a kindergarten calendar of things that you can do with your child over the summer to help them get ready for kindergarten. And in this folder, there is also a paper that looks like this. And it says, why care, learn, grow, and thrive. This is our before and after school care. It is in here. We don't do any registration at St. Croix Prep. It's all done through the YMCA. So we host their program on our campus. So you would look at this flyer and that's where you would sign up. They also do a summer program weekly at St. Croix Prep. And we didn't have it last year because the building was completely closed, but I'm pretty sure they're going to have it again this year. And then for buses are through Stillwater Public Schools. We will send you information when they make next year's busing information available. I don't think that they have done that yet because we're just all transitioning back to coming in back into school this year. So as soon as that's available, we'll get that information out to you. Let's see. Twins, great question. Will twins be in the same class? That is parent preference. So it is up to you to decide. A lot of times they like to keep them separated. Sometimes they try it, and then by first grade, you'd like it separated. So it's totally up to you. Some keep them together for all 4 years or 5 years in the lower school. So we will work with you. And if you haven't turned in your registration information yet and you'd like them to be in the same class, let us know. Just shoot me an email or put it on your paperwork. Do the assessments qualify a student to attend, or is it just to determine the classroom? Nope. We accept all the students. If you are here on this webinar, your child has been accepted to St. Croix Preparatory Academy pending the date of their birth. That's the only reason that they would not be able to get into St. Croix Prep. If we feel academically that your child is extremely low, or we have concerns emotionally, socially, we will just have those conversations with you. But even if you still want to send your child, we will work with you and make it happen. So everybody that's here tonight has been accepted to St. Croix Prep. Is the kindergarten camp available for children with IEPs and 504 plans? Yes. So if your child has an IEP or 504, July 14th is the deadline, but if you'd like to get that in earlier, a lot of times our staff can go to their end of year transition IEP meeting at their current location. So if we know that, we can attend, and that's always, the more we can communicate and the more we can be part of the plan, the better. And if there's a 504 plan, I highly encourage you to get that into us as well, because that involves usually a health plan with the school nurse. And we want to make sure all those plans are in place before kindergarten camp. If your child needs an EA or needs some extra support, we want to make sure that all of that is available to them at K-Camp. So let's see. Do parents get access to Parent View? Yes, parents will have access to Parent View. That's where we post our report cards. That's where you can see attendance. But you would not have access to that until we transition over into the next school year. So that usually happens in July or August. What does a typical day in kindergarten look like? Oh, that's a great question. I noticed desks. Is that a COVID thing, or do kindergartners typically spend much of the day in desks? You know, that has been a COVID thing. So typically the kindergarten classroom has tables. Right now we have to keep our students as much 3 feet away from each other as possible. And our desks, our tables just did not allow for that. So we did put desks in the kindergarten classrooms this year. Next year, it's kind of up in the air. We don't know what is going to be imposed on us regarding COVID requirements. So, and you know, I'm going to leave that up to the kindergarten teachers about what has worked with them and what hasn't worked with them, and if they may have liked the desks better. So if we have an early childhood screening done already, do you want us to send those in? We would love to see those. We don't even know what they look like. So if you have them and have some information you'd love to share about your child, we would gladly take them and put them in their file and use those as well. But we still would like to do our own assessments because we do know that they are different. And if you've already done it, we want them all to be around approximately the same time and the same age, giving every student that same opportunity to have that development from, you know, if you've done it now, they still have 6 months to grow before the next assessment. So we're going to still have to come in August. Does the parent group ever meet during non-school hours? When are we allowed to sign up for emails and updates from them? That will all once again happen once we make the transition from this school year to next school year. We did put your email addresses into the constant contact for us to be able to communicate with you, but the parent group will not probably be sending anything out until about June. And then regarding when they meet during non-school hours, that I don't know. Because normally they do meet at 9:30 on Wednesdays or Thursdays, and they tried doing weekend or evening ones and they didn't have a high success in attendance. But if there's a whole lot of people that want to do it after hours, they will accommodate. They would love, every parent at St. Croix Prep is part of the parent group. We don't have a PTA. Once you are a parent of a child, you are a member and there's no fees. We just ask that because we are a charter school and we do most of the stuff ourselves, and If you've attended one of Mr. Gutierrez's informational meetings, you know that we do not get all of the funding that all of these big public districts do, because we don't get a lot of the levy dollars that the property tax owners pay. So we rely heavily on our parent group for volunteering hours, for volunteering supplies, for helping with time, our book fairs, that's all parent volunteer. And so we would love for you to be as involved as possible in our lower school. This year, we're not allowing visitors because of the COVID restrictions. We cannot wait to welcome our parents back into our classrooms for volunteering. Let's see. You have not received the folder yet. Should we expect that soon? They were mailed out last Thursday. They were put in a manila envelope though, so I do not know how long this takes the US mail. So if you don't get it probably within the next week, contact Ms. Melhorn, the lower school office manager, and she will make sure that you get one. And maybe we can even leave one outside the door for you to come and pick up if that's possible. Is it mandatory to do the early childhood screening? Yes, we do ask that you come in, and so that we can level the playing field and level the classrooms. That's basically what we use it for. We use it to level the classrooms so that not one classroom is heavily high academic, low academic, medium academic. We want to have a nice blend of all of them. That works really well. Let's see. Can we have a backpack of any kind, or are there rules? There are no rules regarding backpacks. You can bring any backpack that you'd like. This year, I've noticed a lot of kids have wheels on their backpacks because their backpacks, they're moving their stuff back and forth. And if we are still in a COVID type situation, that might be something for you to consider. Every kindergarten, if you watch the videos with your kindergartner of what the classroom looks like, every kindergartner gets a little cubicle, a little cubby area. It just needs to be able to fit in that cubby. So a lot of them have their names on it. That's always super helpful. Every morning I greet the students at the door. I say, good morning. And when their names are on their back, then I can greet them by name. So that's just a little tidbit. And they're like, how do you know my name? Because they don't know it's because it's on their backpack, but my little trick. Let's see, can you comment on if St. Croix Prep is reviewing and adjusting curriculum to include racial justice education? You know, that's an ongoing thing. Right now in the lower school, we focus on the core knowledge sequence, which looks at it from all perspectives. So stay tuned. Do students wear uniforms to kindergarten camp? No, they do not. But we do expect them to have them on the first day of school. And the information is in the folder. We have 2 uniform providers. One of them is through Tommy Hilfiger, and one of them is through Donald's, which is in St. Paul. And if you go to Donald's, you can just take them off the rack. If you order through Tommy Hilfiger, I would recommend that you do that probably before, at the beginning of July or earlier, but then that's kind of hard to gauge also how big your child is going to grow in the next couple months, because they do grow a lot in the summer. That sun is like the flowers, they grow. But they do take a little bit longer because they're shipping it from another part of the country. I would sign up with the information now, because they do send coupons through your emails. So you want to make sure you get those if you're going to do it through Tommy's. Also, the same subject, when do we, oh, there we go. When do you suggest we order them in time? So hopefully that helped. Do we have to reapply every year? Absolutely not. Once you are a St. Croix Prep student, you are always a St. Croix Prep student as long as you want to be. So we do ask that you do an intent to return form every year, just so that we can make sure that you're coming back the next year. But we want to keep you. We see success in our students who start in kindergarten and go all the way through 12th grade. They get that cyclical curriculum, and it might be hard in certain years, or there might be some extra supports that your student needs, and we're there to work with you. Do you have any recommendations on the quantity of each piece of the uniform to purchase? That is totally, you know your child better than I do. I have a boy, and he is in 8th grade, and I have at least 5 pairs of pants and 5 pairs of shorts and 5 shirts, because if I don't get to laundry that weekend, I need to make sure he has something to wear on Monday. So if you know your family, there's long sleeve shirts, there's short sleeve shirts. Donald's has a great 3/4 zip that they can wear as part of their uniform. Some of the sweatshirts they're not allowed to wear through Spirit Wear. We have a great Spirit Wear company as well. They can wear it to walk in, but they do need to take it off. So if your child is cold all the time, buy the long sleeves. if they're warm, by the short sleeves, or you have them dressed in layers so they can take things off. If your child comes home from preschool and their lunch is all over their shirt, you might want to buy some additional shirts. Let's see, out of curiosity, how many kids in the class have older siblings at SCPA? I don't know for this incoming kindergarten class. The last few years, it's been about 2/3 have been siblings. So we've had about 60 students. There are 90 incoming kindergartners, and there have been between 55 and 65 siblings. I don't know if that's the case this year, but it's probably over 50. What happens if we're out of town on August 10th or 11th during the assessments? Please let us know as soon as possible, because the teachers are there on those 2 days, and if you're attending kindergarten camp, we may be able to do it after that, but if everybody needs to do it after kindergarten camp, then we don't have enough time slots. So we're really hoping that we have given you enough notice of those dates that you can try to make those work. Does the student still do student assessment if they're already on an IEP? Yes, they do, because there's just specific questions that we're looking comparatively to see what your child knows. And the IEP, they may know stuff that is in the assessment that the IEP wouldn't reflect. I saw Moodle on the school site. What is Moodle? Moodle is something that older students use. We don't use that in the lower school. So I'm not even going to be able to address that, because I don't know. When I was in high school, I know that's a high school thing. What is starting and end time for school? Every year that could change. It's been the same for many years. We start at 9:30 in the morning and we go till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because we are based on Stillwater Public Schools busing schedule, they deliver all of their students first, and then they deliver all of the charter school and non-public schools. So that could change if they ever change their bus routes or change when their start times are. It could change us, but tentatively and most likely it's 9:30 to 4 o'clock. Can you explain how students are assigned to classes? You mentioned it's based on the assessments and interactions. Does that mean the students go in one class? Yeah, the students will get one class for the entire year. And in kindergarten, the only times they'll go to other classrooms are for art and music, and we do that on a rotation, and PE. We do that on a 3-day rotation cycle. They will be in a classroom for their whole entire kindergarten school year. So when they get in first grade, second grade, third grade, and fourth grade, they do switch for math, because math is such a content-based that they need to be leveled. So we do level our math classes in first through fourth, but in kindergarten, they stay in their classroom for the entire time. And so when I mean that they'll get their class assignments and that we use the assessments we look at the assessments to make sure, like I said, that they're not some classrooms that have all high academic students or gifted students, and some who have all students who have special needs. We like to have them balanced so that students learn how to work with each other and support each other. Can we buy plain uniforms at Target with no SCPA logo? No. They have to have the St. Croix Prep logo. The pants should be from the 2 uniform providers as well. So do I go around and check tags? No, but all dresses and shirts and sweatshirts have to have the St. Croix Preparatory Academy logo on them. Specific shoes. There are no specific shoe requirements. We do ask that you send them with PE shoes, so that because they will be on the gym floor, and we want to try to maintain that as much as we can so that the sports teams can use that. So they will need to have gym shoes for that. And so we ask that those sit in their cubby if they're going to wear cowboy boots to school that day. We recommend that it's something that they can play with on the playground, because they are on the slide and going up the ladders, and they're not allowed to wear flip-flops. They have to have socks, and they have to have a closed toe. That's the only requirement. Is there any issue with taking students out early to accommodate extracurricular activities like swimming and dance? We don't recommend it. We know that we are a late ending school, but we do academics all the way up till the end of the day. It's a family choice, and you will get attendance letters because by law we're mandated to report attendance issues. Is that going to It depends on how often they're gone and how much it impacts them academically. But that will be conversations that we will have with you as a family if we see any concerns. Is recess every day? Yes. And how much time do they have for lunch? They have 25 minutes for lunch every day. So just as a person who is in the cafeteria every single day, please try to think about what you're sending in a child's lunch. If you're going to send them a Go-Gurt, that needs to be cut or torn. If they can't open that independently, then that's going to be them raising their hand and asking for some adult help. Fruit cups, those little plastic covers that are on them are impossible to open without spilling juice all over the place. So keep that in mind too. Anything that you provide for them, soup containers, if you turn them on so tight, they can't open them. So just think about what you're putting into your students' lunch. We also provide hot lunch. We have a kitchen on site. So we have hot lunch, or you can send your child with a lunch. And recess is every day. Recess is 20 minutes long every day. This year, because of COVID, some of them are getting additional lunches. And in kindergarten, when the teachers feel that the students may need to move their bodies a little bit more, we also have a kindergarten patio that's outside all of their doors, and all the kindergarten classrooms have an outside door. They're the only classrooms that do, and they let them go out for a 10, 15, 20-minute extra recess if they need to. And all teachers in grades K through 4, if the students really are wiggly and need to move their bodies and they're just seeing them be lethargic or whatever, they will put on a brain break video or a Go Noodle video, and the students will do it right there at their desks, because we want the students moving, we want their brains functioning, and so that they can retain all this academic stuff that we're asking for them to do. What is the likeliness that a first or a second grader will get in if the younger sibling was accepted as a kindergartner? That I don't know. They go on a sibling waiting list. It depends on the grade, and the waiting lists are long. It just depends. If you want your other children to come in, if we call you on a random Thursday or email you on a random Thursday and say your child got in and it's not at a quarter break, I would recommend that you accept it, because then it just puts them back at the bottom of the list again. It all depends on who comes and goes. We do not see a high turnover. But with COVID, we've seen different things. So it's really hard for me to say, and I don't have the waiting list in front of me right now. They are a sibling, and siblings get in first. So, and there usually is a waiting list for siblings as well. So whether they're first on that list or 10th on that list, it just depends on the family situations and who comes and who goes throughout the year. It's hard for me to say. Do you have to provide lunch? No, we have hot lunch. And if that's what you'd like to do, you do it all through the website. You put money into their lunch account and they get their lunch every day. How much do hot lunch cost on a daily or weekly basis? That I don't know, but if you go to our website, it will be on there. I want to say it's $2. I don't know. I don't know. I know that the teachers just went up in fees. Right now, this year for COVID is free. Oh, kindergartners get free breakfast. I'm not sure about lunch, but I'm pretty sure that kindergartners get free breakfast for the first year. Are there any restrictions on food that is sent for lunch? For allergies, example, peanut free. We are not a peanut-free school. If a student has that allergy, we are very precautious about who sits next to them, what's in other people's lunches. The student with the allergy gets special placemat and it gets all washed, and it's all done through the health office. But and then our EAs that do lunch with the student make sure that, and the cafeteria people, they all make sure that they're trying not to, that they're being cautious about what is being served to that student as well. Let's see. Oh, and Mr. Olson did put the website for where that you can find the food information. And okay. So there are no open questions left. Does anybody else have a final question that they would like for me to answer? What are the safety protocols as school is in session? I'm not sure what you're asking. We have a lot of safety protocols. We protect and love our little people so much, but could you be more specific in your question? People coming and going. We have a closed campus. So everybody signs in through the main doors, which is door 1. The students enter in the morning through door 20. So we even come in our own separate entrance. In the past, we've let kindergarten parents walk their kids to their classroom, but we haven't been doing that. And our kindergartners have been fine with saying goodbye to their parents either at the car or at the front door. So we're going to probably recommend that for the future. Our doors are locked at 9:30 and they don't get unlocked until 4:30 in the afternoon. We as a staff go through extensive training on as all schools do, on active shooting and that type of thing. So how to be prepared in case something like that were to happen. And we've worked on training our parents and our students on those things as well. So your child will go through those drills just like every other student has to go through. It's unfortunate, but that's a society in which we live. So you do have to sign in and out. And when you do come into the building, all staff members wear badges and all visitors will wear a badge as well, so that we can try to see who has checked in and who hasn't checked in. So as parents of an existing student, we are thrilled to send our youngest to SCPA. Thank you, because we love our people. It's a great school that truly cares about kiddos and families. And thank you for the great presentation. I hope that wasn't too stressful. I have never done it just talking to myself for 52 minutes. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I will do my very best to get back to you as soon as I can. And we so look forward to working with you and welcoming in these fun kindergartners. They're just the light of our lives. We love it when we have new incoming kindergartners. So thank you for coming tonight. And like I said, if you have any more questions, reach out. So email is best right now just because of all the craziness with the COVID. And so I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I hope you all have a great night. Prep for life. Go Lions. Thank you. Good night.